Okay, we're doing another trade here on BTS. I saw it pop up in the volume monitor. So, and BQX popped up again. So I'll be bouncing between all these. So my screen is, I'm not going to reduce my screen because I can't. So what you see here, I'm going to try to make it as, I'll try to be as informative as possible, but I'm going to actually trade. So I'm going to try to talk through it and everything else, but I'm just not going to try to do more of the video than trade. I'm actually going to trade. I entered this trade here at 40, what is it? 4274 Satoshis on BTS, BTC, Binance. So I entered the trade here. If we actually look at what's happening on this chart, so basically you'll see here there's a 13 Bitcoin order that's just sitting there that really is just like people are jumping in front of, right? Going crazy. Now what I did is my first position, so I'm going out in two positions. So I went in one position, and if we go here, I'm going out in my first position right here. So I'm looking at 2.5% below this tick mark. So my thought is 4397. I'm well below that. So most people are going to look at that as resistance. They're going to look at this as resistance too, the 4350, but there's really not a lot of resistance there. The 4350, just so you know, if we look at here, the 4350 is like right around here. 4350 is right around here, and then my other position that I'm getting out of is right here. So right before these kind of two little dips that are like sell walls right there that are on the books right now, right? So that's what I'm getting out. My concern a little bit is, does this go away, and do these positions fill up all this? But there's a little bit of a gap here, a 0.32% gap between the price, between the, you know, I'm going to have to properly come up with the right phrases for these things. So a lot of times I'm using my own way of thinking on this, but there's right trader methodology or terminology. So when I can, I'll start using that more. But there's a gap there between the bid and the ask and the actual price. So that's what we're looking at here. It hasn't moved for a while here, so there's a battle going on between this price, as is obvious, but there's a huge buy wall there that's sitting there that, you know, they're really trying to push the price action up. Now if we look at the volume monitor, BQX, which is a trade that I mentioned earlier on an earlier video, I'm in ELF as well, so that's good to see that ELF is shooting up. I've already got my sell order in. Let's see where I'm at on ELF. So ELF, we're looking at the 3-minute chart. Let's look at the 1-hour chart. ELF, I got in down here, and I'm looking to get out right around here. So I'm looking for about a 7%. So I got in down here, and I'm looking to get out before the high here. So, you know, you notice one of the things I suggest, I'm being a little aggressive with this exit. I should get out right here. I should get out about 654, right? So I should get out, but you see what I'm doing is I'm splitting the difference between the highs that you see here. So there's highs here, and I'm splitting the difference there. So most people, like I said, I noticed most people try to maximize their profit, get out just below, think they're being safe. I'm like super safe, I guess you could say. Super safe would be down here in my opinion, but I'm like safe where I'm here. So that's kind of what I'm looking at there, and we'll see. It's starting to trend down, but one of the great positive things that I'm seeing in this chart is that there's a high. I mean, here's where it closed. Here's where it closed. It's kind of closed at the same place, or opened at closed and opened at the same place, and then it's on the hour charts. Remember, I'm looking at hour bars, and it's done kind of the same. Yeah, it's dipped, but it's going up. The trend is going up from where it's kind of been. So it's kind of on an upward trend. So we expect that to continue. So I might be in this for another couple hours, or it might just spike up. Okay, let's go back to BTS. BTS. Every time I say that, my daughter is into K-pop, and she doesn't like BTS because it's like the mainstream group now. But it reminds me of the BTS K-pop group. So it's not moving for some odd reason. People do not want to move the price. So, well, I know why. It's just a slow mover right now. Now, BTS is on my list of long-term acquisitions as well, and we're researching it more deeply. But so far, we've identified as BTS as one of our long-term acquisitions. So the entry that I have here, actually, the first exit, I'm retaining most of the profits. I'm retaining. I'm the way to look at it is I'm exiting about 60% of the position here, and then the other position that I'm exiting up here will be an additional 30, and then I'm keeping 10% in for long-term holds. Now, keep in mind, when I do that, I put them in a different portfolio, and I don't really ever look at them because I'm my plan for that. If we go to the day bar, oh, this is an ugly day chart. My plan for that when we look at the day bars, right, is that look, we're here, okay, and I plan it's gonna move down here, it's gonna move up here, but I'm talking a year, maybe 6 months. I'm expecting it's gonna get up here, at least, if not higher, right? That's the plan. So anything that we acquire within this section, to me, when the plan is up here, around this range, anything that we acquire here, we're basically dollar cost averaging in, is the kind of way to look at it. Let's go back to 3-minute bars. There's got to be a way. I got to figure out how to like really use this software. Like what I mean by this is like this is so annoying. Like there's got to be a way to like automatically like make these things like look good. Oops, don't want to move that. There's got to be a way. Anyways, so look, we're moving up. That's good. Finally. So let's see what's on the books. So that artificial buy wall is still there, and I don't know, it could be real. Someone with 13 Bitcoin. Well, let's see what that is. Like 13,168, right? 13.6. I should be able to do this math in my head. But 13.6. That's 135,000 at Bitcoin's current price. So someone with 135,000 US dollars is saying, I want to buy this at this position. My reasoning is if I'm trading $135,000 on this chart and I want to get the best price possible, I'm not going to telegraph my purchase. I've said this many times, but that's just my position. NAV GTO. So NAV might be worth a look because it's red there. Let's take a look and see what is happening with NAV. NAV. Oh, look at that. That's good. That's positive. What I'm saying is that what we're seeing here is it's in the red and it's below support. So see this. This will be a good kind of support thing. I know someone mentioned support on here. We might miss the support entry. We already did. See this support? It broke support. So people it triggers all the traders and everybody else to go and buy. And then if it continues to go down, people will start getting worried. Because once again, I'll go back to this. It's been on a downtrend for the last, 2 days. Of course, the whole market has. But now it's just broke it even more. It's gone even further. And the people are thinking, I can't go further. Now, there's a jump in volume here. And something I haven't mentioned in the other videos that I naturally do that I need to start making sure that everybody pays attention to is volume. Volume is critical. You need to look at volume. You need to always know where the volume's at. So this is volume. It's increased. See where the volume is here, and then it's increased. And what this volume monitor basically has said, and see it's popped up again, this might be still a good buy. But I'm not going to do it because I'm in other trades and I'm recording the video, so I can't give it proper attention. But this is good because basically what this is saying is look, there's a net volume of 3.3% of net volume, 2.8% of net volume in the last 2 minutes, okay? And that's playing out in the chart, as you can see here. It's playing out in the chart. If we go to the 5-minute bars, it's playing, look at that. It shot up, and then the sellers... I don't know this for sure, but I assume what happened is the buyers jumped in, said, oh, wow, this is a great buying opportunity. They bought. The seller said, no, we have more to sell, and it dropped back down. Now, the sellers are kind of coming back in, and they're basically, what you're probably going to see here, and this is why it would have been a good purchase opportunity at this position here is that if you buy here, see, if you buy right now, you're risking, the challenge is you don't really know what's going to happen. There could be a lot more sellers jump on board because they know they know that the buyers are activated, right? So when someone knows the buyers are activated, the way I look at it is when a chart knows the buyers are activated, then they'll go and say, okay, this is the best time to sell because it's going to start rising, and then it could just go sideways, right? Kind of like it has here. See how it's just kind of gone sideways here for 4 hours? It's just kind of, I mean, there's price action there. It's 3%. You know, there's a kind of a 3% window or so there. But it could do the same thing here. Because see, it shot up here, the same thing, and then the same thing happened, and then it went back down to a low. So you could be looking at the same thing. So the safe buy, not safe, the statistically better buy based on this chart is at this level right here, which already passed. Okay? Because, you know, you want to be able to be in the middle of your exit. You want to be here. This is where you want to exit. Be below a tick mark, below natural support resistance, in the middle of where it's traded previously, below highs. That's where you want to exit. In my opinion, that's where you want to exit. I don't need to say that. Obviously, it's me talking, so you know it's my opinion. But that's where you want to exit. Let's look at BTS. Oh, we dropped. So let's go here. A buy wall is still there, and there's people jumping ahead. So it's just a slow mover. I mean, it's a 414 BTC chart. One of the other things I haven't mentioned that you need to keep in mind too, this is the lowest chart I like to trade typically. I mean, I'll trade lower charts, volume, but they're slow moving. So they can pop quick, but also at times they're slow moving. Now volume's starting to tick up, but it's still low. See, it's still low volume. Here, I mean, that's when it really shot up. You know, it's just still low volume. ELF, sweet. Did I get out of my position in ELF? Let's see. I am still in my position in ELF. Yeah, there's just buyers. I think there's just buyers on it, or sellers on. Oh no, well, I mean, on the 5-minute chart, it's kind of bumped up, you know, so it's gone up 0.5. Once again, yeah, so I had to pause it for a second because I had to find one that was really different. So BTS, it's kind of the same, right? So it's 0.48% between tick marks, right? But if we go to BQX, right, we're on the same candles, 5 minutes. On ELF, we're on 5 minutes, right? And you're saying, okay, well, what's this movement? It's 0.52%, right? Well, on BQX, the movement between tick marks is 1.92%, okay? So you really just have to look at that, and you have to keep that in mind as well. That's something you have to always be mindful of. And that's why it's good sometimes to trade kind of the same charts over and over, or make sure you do a deep analysis. So you look at something and you realize that in 1 hour it moves X%, right? And it's good to understand. So for instance, you look at Ripple. Ripple is kind of deceiving because it moves maybe 2 or 3% here. It doesn't have big movements a lot. So that's something to keep in mind. Yeah, see, so there's starting to be some buyers line up. You know, what you like to see though on these buyers when they line up, you like to see just people jumping ahead, like what happens psychologically in real time a lot is that, and I've watched people that I've like friends trade, and I just watch people trade. I got some friends and just watched them trade just to kind of see if they did similar things to what I did as well. And they did this, so they'll see like an order like this, and they just want to get on this trade because it's going up. They see it going up. They see this huge order there. They want to get ahead of it, but people keep jumping in front of them. So they either just do a market order, right? Or they'll just do 308 and then just go up to 309, right? And then so you'll see just people just jumping ahead because they don't want to miss out on this trade. They don't want to miss out on the uptrend. That's what you like to see. You like to see that just people are just jumping ahead, and people are just kind of, the emotion behind that is that I don't want to miss out on this trade. It's going up, it's going up. And see, so you just want to see that. Now, the other thing that you'll see too is that you want to see ideally the spread. So the spread here is 4310 and then 4323. You want to see like it filled up as much as possible. That way, it shows that there's an aggressive buying behavior on the buyer side, right? So you're seeing that play out right now. You're seeing people jump ahead by 4 ticks, by 1 tick here, by the 327. So people are trying to jump ahead of this 328, right? You're seeing that play out, and you're seeing the price move with that. You're seeing it represented in the bars. In the depth chart, you're seeing obviously there's not much resistance. And am I out of my trade? I don't remember. I'm out of my first BTS trade. So, you could have said, and maybe I might have, but I'm happy. So this is the other thing. Be happy with your wins, right? Be happy with where you're at. So I'm out. Yeah, I'm out. I'm out of my trade, and I protected my capital. Now, you could have said that, well, what you were seeing in your chart, shouldn't you like reduced it and then like raised it, and then because what you're seeing is everything positive? Yeah, that's one way to look at it. The other way to look at it, which every time I do it, it goes against me, is I've actually seen this right here, like this same scenario play out. And look at all. So the other thing to look at is that, yeah, the buyers are kind of taking over now, but that support wall is going further and further down. It's not there. So the person that has this wall, they're either going to move it up, keep it there, and just kind of let the buyers take over for a little bit. But what can happen in an instant is that you might think that you have a huge run up here, and you see we're starting to see our first resistance point right here, first resistance point on the 1 minute candle. So there's a little bit of resistance here, and it's kind of near where it's been a high, right? So what you're seeing here, so I'm already out of my first trade. I'm happy. And look, this is prime example. I mean, it did bounce back up, but I've had it happen so many times to me where I try to be aggressive with my exits, and I try to read the chart in real time like that, and not going with what I feel is sound analysis on my part on my exits. And it's gone against me, and I've just it's like the last 10 minutes or 5 minutes of price action just to get a little bit more is just, it's a pain watching. It's just like, it sucks because you might be here. Just imagine my exit is here, right? And actually, I'm not out of the trade yet. I don't know what I'm talking about. My exit is here. Yeah. So my exit is here. That's why I thought the percentage was off. See, this is why I can't do this and record, so I apologize. My first exit is coming up. All right. So, but I'm still a little concerned, actually. Honestly, I'm concerned a little bit on my exit, just because you see that wall went away, and there's a couple big orders for people to get excited about, but it's starting to slow down. Volume is still trending up. So I do apologize. I was right where I wasn't out of my trade yet, but my last couple minutes of conversation still holds. See, I'm a little worried now that my second exit is not going to be reached. My first exit is the majority of my position, and then my second exit is further up here, right? Because I think that I believe that there's excitement for BTS right now, right? Based on the chart. But that can change in a second, obviously. So let's see the 3-minute bars. Little resistance right here. Now my first exit is, so please forgive me if I don't have these things. I don't try to memorize things. I have notes, and I have things that I write down, and I have various ways that I do things. So I do wish that I could get to a point where like these things are just like, by recall I had it, then I could I could really easily kind of go back and track it back, right? Let's see. That's my second exit. See, that's a little aggressive based on what I'm seeing here. That's my first exit. So this is my first exit. And the price is right here. So we're already starting to see a little bit of a dip. Now, the thing, yeah, so see, we saw a little bit of pullback. Now, good thing is I'm still above support. So if you look at like where support is played out, support is looks like it's playing out right around here and here where I bought. I bought at this I put my order what I would consider a good position based on where the chart was at that time, because notice I bought below the but I bought below the actual close. Now this can easily go against me right here, which the reason why is should be obvious. Not shouldn't be obvious. There's a 27,000. There's a 1.8 Bitcoin order there that looks like it's going through. So that's going to depress the price. That's going to bring down the price, because what's going to probably end up happening is people are going to jump ahead of that. Now the one thing that I'm looking for is I'm watching over here, and I'm seeing how is that being sold, right? 1570 there at 4291. So that was obviously it wasn't here. 4296, there's 2249. So it was a part of that potential position that was taken out, right? This doesn't have to be one buyer either. That's the other thing. So I hope that's obvious, but I assumed it was. There's another buy at that level, 1974, right? So this is getting eaten up a little bit, and that's what you want to see. You want to see still buyer activity without an artificial buy wall below it actually eat up a position like that. That means the buyers aren't as concerned, right? But it's still going to depress the price. So you'll see here, it did. It hit this resistance level, and it's kind of bouncing from this resistance level. So, it's looks like it's probably still maybe got room to go down. It's hard to say, but what you would expect, the best scenario for this trade to happen right now is that the buyers, so you'll see people start jump ahead, right? So what you're looking for here to make sure that the steam has not died out on this is you see the volume, the lines have crossed here, and it's starting to trend down, right? Once again, this isn't stuff to get worried about. So this is natural market movement. So you need to train yourself to get to a point where this is the natural cycle of the market, ups and downs, people fighting over price. You shouldn't get concerned. You should get good at doing your technical analysis and your positions. That I'm only concerned about my other position, because if we look at where I'm at, right? If we keep in mind the larger picture, both these positions are a little risky just because we're at the top of a green bar, that of a huge run up, and we're at the high for the day, right? So what can happen is that it can just go sideways here for a little bit, right? So that's one of the concerning things that could happen here. The other thing is that my actual exit is a little aggressive on the second exit, just because it's already had a run up. Now this is where ideally what I want to see is on the volume monitor, and then also on the chart, I want to see that volume is at the same level. Now one of the things that scares people is that or worries people is that, well, you're seeing red volume, and that's healthy. So it's healthy to have a pullback. If you look at back in the chart, green, volume, green, red, green, green. What happened here? It priced up, right? So you're looking for, if the volume just fell off here, you should be concerned, right? If the volume just fell off, you should be concerned, because that means that there's not an active battle going on between the buyers and sellers. Right now, there's still kind of an active battle going on, right? And right now, the sellers have taken over. And you'll see here now the road, I mean, it's not exactly clear, but it's clearing up a little bit. And there's support here at the 4261 level. There's quite a bit of orders at this level. See these orders at the 4254 to 4269. Between that, if we look at the depth chart, you'll see that there's, this is also, I mean, this is good to see too, even if some of it might be artificial, is that, look, there's support here on the books and there's support here. So you want to see just kind of multiple support levels, ideally, because usually those don't go away too quick, especially if nothing changes on the sell side, right? So once, so an order just came through for 4624 at 4295. All right. So you'll see, this is why now these 51s right here that you see here, these are these 129s, these 51s, these are bot buys, or these are people that are properly structuring their positions. Okay. So when you see stuff like that, like 51, 51, 51, 51, 52, 53, when you see kind of like these kind of close numbers, these are people that are strategically buying in at different tick marks or at the same tick mark, that are using bots like here 4296, 4296. They're not telegraphing their position, right? And there's some type of bot behavior there. So that's what you're seeing when that. But see these orders 2279, 2289, 3982 on the sell. So it's a battle right here, which is playing out on the chart. But you'll see the buyers are starting to push it up. The buyers are starting to say, hey, I want to push this up, but there's just resistance by the sellers as well. So this is me narrating what's going on, obviously. But this is, so if we go back to the 3-minute chart, so we got a bump up here. So once again, I'm still a little concerned on my exit. But what I'd like to see is another volume spike here. So I'd like to see, like on the volume monitor. Now, I'm starting to use this volume monitor a little bit less, just because once the first ping comes up, I do look at it and glance at it, but I can read the chart and tell me what's going on. So, and one of the things, is a 30-minute video. So one of the things is that I'm working on another video that's like kind of like what I call the Rocky effect. So I'll get that out, but that'll explain some of my thinking on why I just do naked charts. So why there's no other MACD, Bollinger Bands. Like I said, I'm starting to use some of that, but just to kind of think. But I'll explain my reasoning and why I think everybody should start there. So here's what could play out here. And this will be fine. I mean, it's not fine, but if we look at the time, once again, I do a lot of things that I don't think a lot of people do, because I don't know why they don't do it, but maybe they do. We look at the time, it's 6:49 Tokyo, 5:49 Shanghai, 6:49, and then it's around 5 o'clock New York, in the middle, kind of like towards the end of the day in the Midwest. So here's something you want to keep in mind. You want to understand where BTS is actually traded, right? So let's go here. Let's go to Coin Market Cap, right? You want to go to BTS, BitShares. You want to go to, and you want to understand this. So you want to say, okay, well, it's on a fair number of exchanges, right? But you want to understand, like, is this something that's swayed more by the Asian market, right? You want to understand that. Now you can look at the chart sometimes too and see that as well. So you can look at the chart and you can kind of say, well, what is the time right now? It's between the 1500 hour, right? So let's go back to another 1500 hour. So let's go here. Here's another 1500 hour. Now you're looking at volume, you're looking at price action, right? So is this 2100? So what you're looking for is kind of the trend of the chart, right? So Does volume, you're going to have volume spikes because of news and everything else and whatever else, pump and dumps and stuff like that, right? But what you're looking for is like, is there a repeatable kind of time where maybe a certain market segment wakes up and starts to trade something, starts to actively look at something, right? And then you want to think about how would they react, right? Would they see us as a buying opportunity? Would they get excited? These are the things to keep in mind. These are the things that you need to know. So I have a clock up all the time, so I know what time it is, right? So I know that the Asian markets, gonna it's they're just waking up, right? So some people might start trading right now, right? Or they might have already been trading. Some people do work the same schedules as other markets. Like uh, the other thing to notice is Bitcoin has basically reduced all its gains for the last couple hours. It's down to 9937, and it's so it's kind of traded in the same range. So it's not making any major dips or anything else. I do hope this is helping. So let's look at this one more time, and then maybe I'll pause the video, and then when the exits come, I'll talk more, because otherwise it's just me talking, filling time. So look, I feel okay based on this position, or once again, phraseology. Uh, the chart and the price action that's happening right now in real time uh, leads me on a high percentage that my exits are still okay. They're a little aggressive based on just the price activity right now, but that can change in a second. It can change both ways in a second, right? But right now, it appears that the buyers are starting to step up a little bit more. So we're seeing that in the actual price action here. There's a 5,700 order for a buy. There's a 2,700 order. You're looking kind of like, and on the books, they seem to be more kind of like higher numbers on the actual buy side. You also want to look at the spread. Now we are the one thing you can't account for. This is why you can't just look at this. Is that you have to look at the bars and you have to really understand what's happening in real time, and kind of see this and see that, well, even though this looks kind of positive, it's still getting resistance. It's still dipping in price, right? It's still going down. That's because market orders, other orders are happening, right? That's what's happening. I wouldn't watch this right now. What I would do, I wouldn't be watching this right now. I mean, I would look at it, but what I would do is I'd put an alert here. This is so when I'm doing these videos, you might think that, geez, you're spending a lot of time on this stuff. Like, you're really watching this. How do you trade multiple things? Well, this is how I trade multiple things. I put alerts at key points that I need to pay attention, and then I do check back. Just because an alert didn't pop up doesn't mean that there's not something to be mindful of here, right? So I'm in position, so I need to be mindful of. This is also a risky trade as well, because once again, I'll go back to this. If I'd be trading this here, I'd feel a little bit more confident, and if it was the beginning of the day, I'd feel a little bit more confident, because we kind of got an upside to go. We still got a lot of upside, and the downside has a lot of kind of support. We don't have a lot of support at this level. We don't have the buyers could, the sellers could basically push it down, and then most likely it will be retested. And then if that happens, then I would look at, well, I'd probably be out of the position, but I'd also look at, what do I need to do for my exits, right? So that's something to keep in mind. And we're at my buy right now. So I'll be watching. What I'm really watching for is, where are we at? What I'm really watching for now is, are the buyers going to step up? So, and that's what you're starting to see. So there's a little bit of buying action here. The spread is still a little bit. One of the things is that there's a couple key support levels that are building up here. We look at here. There's 3.5, 13,000, 5.3, 23,000 here. So there's a couple key support levels that are building up. So you'd like to see those closer to the ask price, closer to the sellers. That's what you'd like to see, because this means that the price action, it just takes one big order for it to move the price down to this support level, is the way to look at it, right? Right now, you know, it kind of went down for a little bit on the 1 minute charts, and now the buyers are pushing back, right? The buyers are back kind of in control, and they're solidly in control right now, because they're, I mean, on the 1 minute, once again, 1 minute is not solid. And this is, you know, so they're in control, meaning that the buyers haven't really, or the sellers really haven't pushed back down. But it is stopping. You know, you'd like to see a couple jumps up. That can change once again in a second. So once again, I have nothing more to say. I won't, because it's moving sideways, and it's either going to go down and hit resistance and bounce back up, or it's going to start going up from here. Okay, I'm checking back in here. So this is another pretty good sign, you know, at least for the time being. So another big order probably popped up here. And, well, there's okay, so there's someone, once again, is putting an order here, like a huge buy wall. Jeez. So for 24 Bitcoin, right? So, but what happened, and this is what you like to see. See it hit my resistance point, or hit my buy point, which is right at resistance. So I kind of bought right at resistance, you know, right at a kind of a strong resistance point. And that's proving out over, you know, this is, look, this is 1 hour, right? This is 1 hour of time. And it did go below my buy point, but look at, see what the buyers did. They reacted, right? Now you can get caught up once again on how this happened. You can get caught up on the fact that, hey, this happened. Like there's a 3.5 Bitcoin. There's 83,000 shares of this and 56,000 shares of this, you know, and there's people jumping ahead, and you can get caught up in all that, right? And that's good. And I'm explaining some of that so you understand. See, this is why I say in another video, you need to watch charts and just watch them. Just watch Bitcoin, and eventually then just trade it and just watch it. Watch one position for like hours, just hours. And because you'll be able to then see this stuff, and you don't have to sit here and watch it like I am now. Now, I can look at this. I don't need to know everything I kind of went over with you to kind of like see what kind of happened here, right? Or what is happening, okay? So I don't need to do that. But it helps tremendously, the fact that I have that I'm able then to look at this stuff and be able to break it down. And hopefully, the other reason why I do these videos as well is, of course, I don't mind sharing and teaching people. I like that. I enjoy that. But it also helps me rethink what I'm doing. It helps me formulate in my mind the strategy that I have in place. And oftentimes what I do in these, what happens after I do these videos is that it's not a selfish reason, obviously, but I realize that there's something that I do that I didn't really think about that actually is a good practice. And then I should really break down that practice and like find ways to adopt it betterly. I don't know if that's the proper word, but better. And I don't think I'm ever going to be able to do a video that's short. So I'll be able to do shorter videos. But with these ones like these live, I'm just really trying to, once again, I'm in multiple positions now. I mean, so I'm in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 positions right now. And they're all green. They're all the buys, all the sells are set. All the buys are set. Not all the buys. All the sells are set. All the stops are set. Everything's set. So I can at a glance look at what's going on and kind of see that I'm good on everything where I need to be. And then there's no alerts that have popped up, right? So you haven't, so since I've been on here, there's been no alerts that have popped up. So just something I'm mentioning that. I'm not saying everybody do that. I'm not saying that. What I'm really saying is that's what's kind of filling my time instead of just sitting here watching one chart. But I know all this, and I'm able to interpret all this because I've sat here and watched charts. Now look at this. Look at this. Look at what's lining up here. Look at what is lining up. I mean, that is, if this is a pump, this could be a pump, or it's just there's just something happened with BTS that I just don't know, right? Like I said, BTS is part of our long-term hold strategy now. The researcher that I'm working with, that I hired, and my friends, we've realized that BTS is probably a good opportunity for a long-term hold. The good project, it's got some good things going on. So looking to acquire and earn free coins along the way. But you'll see what's here. I mean, this is like you would expect on the volume monitor and other things for this to kind of show up just based on, you know, I mean, the other thing that could be going on is that they're trying to fill up the order book on the buy side to then dump positions. So that could be the other thing going on. But it doesn't look like that. So I don't know. I mean, it doesn't matter. See, this is where, like I said, I talk about a lot of this stuff, and you're seeing it play out, but it doesn't really matter, honestly, because what you're really looking at is what happened. What's the chart telling me? What's going on, right? What is potential to happen based on what the chart has said before, and what is kind of happening in real time. But it really doesn't quite matter as much as how it played out, but understanding how it played out is important. Hopefully that's clear. I'm going to pause the video, and then when one or two things are going to happen, obviously I'm going to have to get out of this position, and I could probably get out right now and be happy at, you know, it's 1%, but once again, the only reason why I would consider that at this point in time is if something drastically, I need to shut this down so I don't see this anymore. So something drastically happens on the sell side that, like, all these go away, then I would get out immediately and be happy with this, because once again, as I said before, I feel I'm in a risky trade position, right? So one of the things I did mention in another video, and this could be another reason for this, is that it just passed the hour mark. So it's 6 minutes past the hour, and you see a lot of price action around the hour. So we saw the price action that had around the hour right now is, I mean, basically shot up, and you'll see here it just shot up, and the buyers are taking over at the beginning of the hour, right? So that's something to keep in mind. Let's go to the 1 minute chart. Let's see what's on the 1 minute chart. Oh, I'm out of my one position. So I'm out of my first position. All right. So my first position got filled. So my first position is out on a sell, and I'm really close on my second position. So, well, not really close. So there's my alert telling me, hey, something's going on. I'm already looking at the chart. See this jump up here? I'm out of my second position. So I could have got a little bit more aggressive, I guess. No, I'm not. I'm not out of my second position yet. Jeez, I need to. That's why it's deceiving. See that jump? Look at that. That's what happens when actually a pump. So that's what happens when you see price action jump. I mean, look at that. I mean, you could say right now that, hey, see, this is where people mess up. All right. I'm telling you right now, you get excited. You don't put your emotions in check, and you see this, you're like, I don't know what the psychology is, but I can't lose. Look at this. I mean, there's no way it's not going up. There's no way it's not gonna, go. My sell position is right here. That's my sell position right here. That's my sell position. My next sell, and I'm out of this position, and then I've got 10% left in there that if I wanted to, I could write up, but we're just going to bank, right? See, most people will see what just happened here in the candlesticks and see this and see the volume, and then go over here and see this huge spike and say, oh, well, you know what? I'm riding this thing up. It's going. And it might. I mean, I'm not saying it's not. But look at, it's not, I mean, it's not shooting up again, right? And you don't see the same kind of order that you did before. You do see this huge buy wall here, but you don't see a lot of people jumping ahead, right? And look at how fast these sells are. 242, 242. See those? These are some kind of automated system or some kind of like purchasing system that is getting out of positions, not triggering, is not telegraphing their position, right? 242, they're not telegraphing their position. Because this here is a telegraph of a sell right here. It's a telegraph, meaning that there's a large position or multiple large positions that want to get out. If you have a large order, you want to step it up so it doesn't look like there's any resistance, so the buyers don't get skittish and you get the best price possible on the way up. That's the way. So you see these 242s. That's one seller most likely dumping a position that is probably a decent sized position, right? And I do the same thing too. So I do stagger my positions as well. So, even at I'm starting to trade now that I've built up so much. I'm starting to trade larger and larger numbers, so I have to start thinking about these type of things. All right. Little concerned on my exit, even though you see these candles are like going crazy. See, most people, like I said, this is where you got to keep yourself in check. Most people are seeing this activity and seeing that huge spike up. If we look at the 1 hour candle, look at that. Look at the 1 hours. Like, you can't not be excited, I guess, if you get excited. But you'll see that buyers have kind of taken over. I mean, what are you going to think if you're just kind of like unsophisticated about looking at it, right? And not in this not seeing how it can turn against you in a second. You're just like, oh, geez, this thing's going to shoot up. That's the wrong attitude to have. You already set your exits. So really stick to your plan. And if it changes, like here, for instance, it doesn't seem to be changing. It doesn't seem to be slowing down. But remember, I'm already out of a position. So not technically, I could get out now and I had more profit than the other position, right? So don't you think I'd be happy? Yeah, I'd be happy. And actually, it hit my other position. So I'm out. So now you're probably thinking, well, you're an idiot. You could have look, you're out. It's still going up. And if you want to, you can let it ride. But remember, I still have 10% of my position riding. Okay? I still have 10%. I still think it's a risky trade. I don't, it's like, and I'll day trade this on the way down and I'll add to the position. So prime example, look at this. This is just key. And hopefully I'm adding value here and I'm just not talking. But it did this before, obviously. It shot up and look what it did. It shot back down. Now there's a lot of price action in there, right? And I don't know what I'm doing tonight, but I'm going to probably play this price action on the way down, providing the volume stays the same. And the Asian market wants to participate, and the U.S. nighttime market wants to participate. The U.S. and Asian market wants to participate. The other thing that I don't mention that you should do is you should be doing this consistently. You should be looking and seeing what is the rest of the market doing, like what's going on, right? Because if this is the one thing that's moving, right, or this is the top, the one thing that's moving, then well, that's probably going to capture other people's attention. You can imagine that Nano, which is a rebrand of Railbox, right? They just did that today, I think. That's got people's attention, right? And it is a good project. Lisk, another good project, right? But so we'd want to see, where does BTS stand in this I think it's called BitShares, right? BitShares. So there it is. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It's 8 down when you sort by change in 24 hours. Okay, and it's not at the double digits, but it's at it's in the top. It's in the top. So it's something that when you're looking at this, it's another thing that you would keep in mind, which is like, well, is this going to continue. Now, once again, I'm happy with my profit, but you'll see here, if I would have let it ride more, I'm just very risk adverse because I've seen it go against me. Okay, so I've been on the other side. I've been very aggressive, and and lost out, and had to be sitting in. I'm still sitting on Tron positions and XVG positions that I was so aggressive on, and you know I'm not. I don't want to make those. I'm not making those same mistakes. So I'm fine. Slow account building. I still got 10% on this trade, right? So, you know, you could say, well, you're probably, if this shoots up another, you could have made 5% if you would have just kind of like watched it real time. I like to set and forget in multiple positions. That's the way I like to trade. Now, you might say, well, what if it goes up another 2%? I mean, look, you're out. You have to be satisfied with where you set your actual profits. Now, what I could do, and what I probably would do, is this is going to have a major pullback, and that's just based on the chart. So I'll start looking at resistance levels. Well, we know based on what happened, well, we don't know. We assume that this will be the same resistance level that it was played out because that's where it was before, right? Now that can change on the way down, but this would maybe be another buying opportunity. Because what you would look at, what most people are going to be looking at, is that it's going to hit this price again, and then it's going to bounce half. So if it runs up, so it's starting to come back, right? You'll notice, where was I out of my positions? Let's see my last position that I exited, just so we know. So I could have been a little more aggressive. Remember what I was saying before, this was already an aggressive trade. So I could have been a little more aggressive. But, you know, 3.86 is not a bad quick day trade. That's pretty good, in my opinion. But we could have been more aggressive. And if I was watching this chart, but remember, I'm in how many other positions? And they're all kind of at this level, right? So, look, I'm not going to baby one trade. I'm just not going to sit there trying to make an extra 1 or 2% off one trade, try to maximize it. Because to do that, you have to sit there and watch it. You have to sit there and really, I'd have to watch, just kind of see what's going on, right? Now, this seems like it still has appetite, but that's great. I mean, look, it's starting to dip, but it's got a lot of activity here. You could probably, if you wanted to, if you're quick, put in an order right here at, 4442 right here. And then it's probably going to jump pretty high up pretty quick, and then sell, and you can make a quick 1%. Now there is a buy while or sell. Oh geez, look at that. This was up, this 11 Bitcoin, this 245,000 was up here about 4 seconds ago, and then suddenly it got here. So now this could be someone that actually is looking to sell, and they got sick of people jumping ahead of them. So they said, you know what? There's buyer activity, and look at that. There's another, and we're just going to, there's a battle going on right now. You don't want to get in right now, okay? You do not want to get in right now, because unless you're trading at that level and you feel like you can sway it one way or the other, you do not want to get in right now. You need to know your order on the actual pecking stick or whatever, the actual food chain. You need to know where you're at in the food chain. Right now in the food chain, I'm not quite there, and I don't want to be there in this chart, right? So what I would do right now, and I'm going to do this, so I'm going to pause the video. I'm going to probably put a sell order down here, or buy order, sorry, buy order down here. Let's see what that is. Maybe here. Okay, so you might be wondering why you're going to do that. Why are you going to put a buy order right here? Volume is pretty strong, right? And I might move it up too, depending on what happens, if I still want to do this trade. But so look, the seller's still there, and the buyers kind of back down a little bit, so they've been slapped. Basically, the sellers came by and slapped the buyers, and that's what's happening right now. They're about to get slapped. So let me pause the video. All right, so I put another order in at 4239 right here, okay, below where I previously bought, and above another support level. And the reason being, and if we look at where, so it's 4239, remember that, or I'll remember that. And if we go here and we go to 4239, 42, notice there's a kind of support around here. 422, 4236, 4223. Now I might even want to move that up to like 4435. Actually, I'm reading that wrong. Yeah. So so if I want to do this trade, I probably want to position myself at 4427 right now. Okay. Now this is where you got to watch it really closely, because now I'm actively watching this trade. So to do this trade right here, I got to actively watch it, okay? Because this can go against you really quick. All right? So this is something that I'd look at my other positions, and I'd make sure I'm good on my other positions. I'd make sure nothing else is like in the range where I need to be paying attention, because this type of trade I would need to actually be mindful of what I'm doing. Because as fast as it's gone up, see how much it's shot up? Now, I did have a little bit of an argument here, right here on the hour chart, but as fast as it shot up, it could shoot down really quick. It could go down, I've seen it go down 4% within like 5 to 6 minutes, all right? So not this specific, but I've seen that happen in the charts. I've seen it happen in price action. So right now what's happening is that basically it's good that you are starting to see your first dip on the 3-minute chart. So, but it's good that it didn't like super react, but it could in any second, right? That could just happen any second. And how that could happen is it's pretty simple. It can happen by, I mean, you're seeing more sellers jump ahead of this 203,000 here, right? And then you're not seeing a lot of buyers line up. You really aren't. So you're not seeing a lot of buyers lined up. And look what so people are positioning right now. They're doing exactly what I'm doing. They're positioning. They're saying, okay, well, where's the next support level? Because it's going to bounce from that next support level, so I'll catch it on the bounce. And look, these are where people are lining up. So they're lining up right here, right around the 4394 to the 44410, right? So there's two ways that you can play this, all right? Sorry, there's two ways that you could trade this. You could put a position here, and then if that support holds up, then you feel okay. I mean, you got into the trade, okay? The other way is that you could put it further here, and then what's going to happen is that you're going to get the tail of the actual candle, and it's going to shoot up. That's the way I like to typically position. So let me go back here. Let's see, 4431. I already have an order for 4439. I don't know where that came from. Yeah. So, I mean, the other thing is I could move the order up here. So I could move it up here, right? And I'm only using the depth chart here just because usually I'd be looking at this and seeing how it's unfolding, because I like the depth chart, don't get me wrong, but I like to see what's happening in the candles, because that represents the emotions and everything else. But I also, what I like to do here is look and see how things are lining up numbers wise, right? So there's support at the 4200 on, that's the artificial support, I believe, that was there before. Maybe it's not, I don't know. But there's support at the 4200 range, and then there's people lining up around here. People will start lining up around these couple buyers here. So That'd be 41.10. 44.10 is actually where it's at. So if we go back here, 44.10, which is right here. Yeah, so people are looking at this. So here's what a lot of people are looking at. They're looking at this as support. That's the next support. So there's support lining up around there. There's a base lining up around there, which is basically saying that people they're buying the dip here. So they're the people that are looking to play the dip, like we are. They're saying that this will be the support line, which is right on the tick mark, right? So they're buying just above a tick mark. Now, the smart way to kind of play that is if you want to do that, there's two ways you can actually position yourself here. You can position yourself just above if you're confident for whatever reason that there's an upside here. Now, keep in mind, we're at an all-time high for the day, and I mean there is activity, and volume actually is trailed down. So see that volume. Now, you can attribute some of that to that big buy order. So whenever something big like that, there's two big buy orders or buy and sell orders. That's here in these kind of volume, but volume really has slowed down. So you don't know if people just got bored of it and they just think it's not going to go up anymore. You don't know. You can only interpret what is in the past and look. But what we do see right now is we see support kind of lining up around this area, around the 4,400. Now it's dipped below 43.94. So you see people are positioning lower. So you see they're at the 43.41 now. So people are starting to position a little bit lower based on what's going on. So that's 43 something, 43.94. So actually that's right here. So I apologize. So that's kind of it's still kind of in the same range, right? So here's how you play this, just so I'm clear. You position yourself below the support that everybody else is at. And what will happen is that you'll get in on a candle like that, like here, meaning that the price will dip down and it'll immediately hit support, and then there'll be a big sell off, and you'll get picked up, and then you'll be an instant 0.6% profit, and then you'll have a little bit of a wiggle room there, right? Your other way to enter is above the support, just above it, right? And then your likelihood of getting picked up in that trade is higher, because in order for you to get picked up below this support, see here, see how it's always touched this support, but it only went past it once. The biggest mistake I made in the past was that I would position myself here, and yeah, I'd get picked up, but I like to position myself below and already have instant profit built in, and then let people battle between the support. Because if it breaks this support, I've been wrong twice. And if it breaks it and it closes below this support, and I've talked about this in other videos, I've kind of been wrong, so I need to be mindful of what's happening in the chart. But if it just dips real quick and then it goes back up and it's been supported, and then it just goes back up and it keeps going back up, I'm more confident that this is kind of a support level, and I'm more confident in my buy below it, right? That's where I like the trade to come to me. So I would enter here, right? Which if I put where my entry is, I'm not even on the board anymore. There we are. So support's lining up a little bit differently again, once again. So, my entry is way over here. So people have repositioned the support right around 44.25. So right around here, which there's a 70,000, 18,000 light support. When I say light support, is that those are two buyers. There's a couple larger buyers, but those are two buyers. I want to see 5 or 6, and you're starting to see that. And I say buyers. Those are multiple buyers. So those are. I'm phrasing this wrong completely. It's not one buyer. It's positions. So I need to get out of that habit. These are positions. People have position, because if I position here, I'm going to add to that position. So I'm saying that wrong. So in every video that I've said that, I apologize. I'm saying it wrong. But see there, the basically what this is showing right now is we're going to have a dip because the sellers are taking over, and the buyers are lining up right at the 44.15 level, which is like above my 42.39. So if I want to enter this trade, then the same thing. I'd have to look at this here and do the same thing. I'd have to go to 44.14, which is right here. 44.14, which is, well, we're talking the same place. So I just have to I'd have to put my entry at 43.88. So I put my entry at 43.88. And if you really want to get technical, meaning like you're like, want to go to the chart and see like, you know, this entry, this dipped at 42.61, and that's at 47. So it went down 40 points. So that would be within the tolerance of what it was before. My feeling though is that I almost, yeah, I guess I would keep it there. But sometimes you can also position way down here, right? Because what happens is that just as fast as it goes up, it slams down, right? Still a risky trade. I cannot stress this again. Just because what you're seeing right now and has transpired over the last half hour is looking positive. I mean, everything's up. The MACD is showing up. Volume spiking up. You know, the 1 minute candles. I'm on 1 hours right now. 1 minute. I mean, it's just trading sideways now. I mean, there's just not a lot of price action happening right there. I guess I'm surprised that there's not actual, there is. So I'd want to enter right here. Let's look. I'm just trying to gauge like exactly whether or not this is a smart move or not. I mean, there's a lot of buyers stepping in. So, I mean, it's not, you're not seeing a huge sell-off, right? You did, but, so I will enter that position. I'll cancel the other one. So what I'm going to do, just so it's clear, and I'll show you visually. This is the thing, like to enter right here, to enter at the 4,300 level, you're probably not going to get this if you want to do this trade. If everything else looks good and you want to enter this trade, you have to look at it from this perspective. That's a lot of, I mean, it could happen. So there's two ways to do this, once again, and I'll restate what I just said. You can wait for the trade to come to you, and if you don't get the trade, fine. That's great, right? If you feel pretty good about the price action going up, then you can raise it above just a little above there and get scooped up with everybody else that's positioning themselves at this level, right? Everybody else here is positioning themselves around this level. I mean, you just see it now. Look at this. I mean, there's 38, 38, 618, 98, 470, 2200, and there's some support between there and then down below, right? But it's changing. See how it's changing? So people are reading what's going on. You know, you're seeing some desperation too, because this is moving. You're seeing desperation that this is moving because people don't want to miss out on the trade. So this is where, once again, you just have to kind of look at these things. That's why with much of this type of trading, when it's this it's not quite volatile like it was before. You just have to be mindful of, is this trade, the biggest advice I can give here is what I'm seeing on the hourly and what I'm seeing in the overall trend. Would this make a strong swing trade? Would this make a strong, if I have to stay in this position, is there a higher likelihood that I'm going to get stopped out? And let's say I don't want to get stopped out, but I want to stay in this position. What is the likelihood that there's an upside in this position? And it's hard to say at this point. If if we were here, right, and we can look at this and say, well, there's an upside, at least on the chart going back historically, and there's, you know, a little bit of a downside, but we're on an upswing so far. You could say, well, there's more upside in the trading day or in this time frame. Right now, it's hard to say. It's gone up so much already. It's hard to say whether or not there's more upside, right? What you usually see in these scenarios is something along these lines. It starts trailing back, or it'll trail back and then it'll bounce back up. So let me make one more look, and then I'm just going to move on, just because it's not worth my time anymore. So yeah, so look what we're seeing. Volume slowing down, and it's, you know, kind of the sellers are taking over. You can see that in the candles as well. I mean, every time the buyers have tried to push it up, they're starting to go back now. So this is fluid, obviously, but there's still that large order on the sell side, right? It's still there. And look at the spread here. It's 0.76. The spread, well, now it's changed. So it's not changed that much. So it's volatile. You don't know where things are going to land, and you're at the top. I mean, you're not at the top, but you're at a green bar. So it did move back up here. So it seems like the buyers still have it in them, right? So I'll go to my 3-minute bars. But you see how much it's like it's changing. This just means that it's pretty volatile. So it's really just a battle going on. And the other thing to look at that I don't mention a lot is there's resistance here. I mean, it's not getting above that price. Now, we can attribute that to that large order, but it doesn't matter. There's resistance there. It's not getting above that, right? And it hasn't until, like, you know, a day or a couple days ago, right? So there's resistance there. There's definitely resistance. And that's where you'd want to, you know, I don't know. I'm not going to mess with this trade anymore. If I do, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put an alert right here. And I'm going to look at the 1-hour chart. And I'm going to expect it to maybe close here and then maybe trail back to here. So I would look at the bottom support level, and then I might trade it on the way up. But at this point in time, you know, this is where I'd look and say what other things are like XZC. It just popped up here, and it's the first pop up, like here. ICX, you know, I'm already in that trade already, so I'm happy. I'm up 10% for the day there. So I'm happy for my ICX trade. So I'm happy to see this. Now, this negative volume means that it's probably going to go down. So I should probably check that out. But so it's had a spike. So there's a battle going on in ICX. Let's see. Okay, so it's a little bit longer time now, and let's look and see what happened. I didn't enter the trade. I had other things to do. I had to make some food and some stuff. But look what happened on the 1-hour bars. This is why, you know, once again, it's a risky trade. See, if you would have been playing at this level up here, and I got out, I mean, I got out of the perfect position. Because look what happened. I mean, it kind of hit there, and it didn't really go past that, and then it just trailed off. I mean, it went down, you know, it went down total of 3%. Now, if you would have bought in, right here where it's trading at right now. Remember where we were talking about that support level? And it's hard to see with all the things all over the chart, so let's just remove these. So where was that support level? It's right here, isn't it? It's like literally right here. So you would have been, if you would have bought in at that support level that we were talking about, right? See how fast it moved? I mean, it's not fast. It's 3 minutes. So 3, 6, 9, 12, 18 minutes, right? So it's not fast, but look at how, I mean, it's gone on a downtrend. Now, you had opportunities to get out based on everything. And the buyers did try to push back here, right? But the sellers kind of like went in control. If you would have bought in at this resistance level, you'd still be up right now. The problem with it, well, it depends on what's going on. I haven't been looking, but right, it's trending down. The volume is kind of like dying down. But there's still people positioning here for support, right? If we look at the depth chart so we can kind of visually see, you'll see there's support here. So probably what might end up happening, and this might be you might have been still okay to be in this trade at this support level. You got to look at, remember, the long term or the higher time frame. So you'll see here, it's went up for about an hour, and then now it trailed back half, and it's going to try to probably retest that. The other thing it could do is, and it's already trying to, right? Look, it's already trying to. So, you know, this would have been an okay trade. I don't know if you'd be out right now, but I think you'd have a little bit of confidence that there's still steam here, right? Based on what you're seeing here. One thing you notice, the MACD is starting to tighten. So, you know, that's one thing. See how it tightened and then really loosened up here? It tightened. It means price action is getting closer. The mean and everything else is getting closer. But then here it like, you know, opened up, and then now it's starting to tighten. Now we could probably see a similar type of thing. It could tighten and then it could maybe reopen up. And that, you see that a lot in some charts. You see where there'll be a testing of a high. Obviously there's resistance here, obviously, and I got out before the resistance, remember? So, you know, I got out probably way down here when we could have rode it up another, maybe a little bit less, when we could have rode it up another % or so, right? But now it might go a little bit lower. It already has price-wise, but it might close a little bit lower. It's actually new hour now, so this is just only, you're seeing 16 minutes of price action here in this one bar. So it could definitely go down. So that's, if you want to enter this trade, you want to be looking for other support levels and then ride it up here and to see if it's going to retest. You got about a 4% there. And that's what you have to think about here too, which is like, if I enter this trade now on the hour time frame, right, and it does do what things tend to do, it tries to retest this, right? If it breaks through, great, you're usually good. But your kind of resistance point that's been tested twice is only 2.7 from where it's at right now, right? So it's only 2.73%. There's not a lot of margin for error. Ideally, you'd like to see some margin for error on the upside where you're like getting out here and there's still upside. So it's a little bit of a lower percentage successful trade in my opinion. But look what's happening though. Volume spiking up still, at least the historical volume. And if you like the MACD is like really giving you positives. One of the things about the MACD, and I can't remember who told me this or what video I saw this in, but I think he mentioned that how the MACD is kind of going 4s or 8s and 12s. So where it's just something he noticed. Maybe it doesn't seem to be, well, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yeah, so there's 12 ups. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 downs. So yeah, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So it's not quite, but it's near 8. So I remember watching a video, and if I can find it, I'll share it. But where he really mentioned that there's, the MACD likes to move, or it kind of moves in increments of 4s, right? So this is, I don't know what this is, but 1, 2, 3. I should know what's between these, but that's probably 12, right? So, you know, if based on the strength here, you might say that we've got a couple more upsides, right? But it might be trailing off, right? So you might see something like this if you like the MACD, and you might see something that might go to 16. The next 4 would be 20, right? So if you believe in the numbers of 4s with the MACD. So, but he showed us a couple of charts in that video, and it was kind of convincing, I guess you could say. So it's just funny how sometimes these numbers work out. So, well, let's put the resistance back up. And yeah, see, look at that. It just dipped on the 3-minute chart. So it's getting a lot of resistance. I mean, we should look and see what's going on, obviously. And I could look over here in the data. Like I said, I'm not showing my full screen, so let's go. Yeah, so, I mean, it's, notice there's not, you notice what you don't see, what we saw before. You notice there's not a huge buy wall. There's not someone really supporting the price, really trying to push it up. I mean, there's buyer activity and everything, but you're not seeing a huge support on either side of trying to make the price go one way or the other. Now, that means probably the market's in more of a natural state, you could say, right now. So this price action is more in a natural state, but that can change in a second. But once again, I would have moved on. So unless something spikes up or piques my interest, I would have moved on and looked at other opportunities, or looked at my positions, kind of just reassess and everything else. So hopefully this was helpful. I know this went on for an hour and 20 minutes, but I personally think it's this. I was really doing this. I'm really in a trade. I'm not just pontificating. I'm actually talking about what I'm doing every single day. So to me, this is kind of gold, because you're seeing someone that's actually doing it, and I just showed a successful trade. So at least one trade I've done is successful. It's the way to look at it. And I share some of my trades as well. So most people that are seeing what I've been sharing, my trades, can usually track it back and see that I think where some people might get hurt is that they try to exit too late. You see where my exits, I always try to be very conservative on my exits. So that's all. Any questions, just ask.